It's a movie I've really loved. It's a movie I've always loved since it came out. It is The Fall by the director Tarsem. Let's take a look at why I think this movie is, well, underrated. Coming up next. I rewatched The Fall again. I showed it in class. I've shown it a couple times in class. I really like it in a lot of ways, but when I look on the internet and some of my friends or followers or whoever are rating this movie, oh, they don't rate it as well as me. So I feel like I have to explain myself and sell you on this movie a little bit. This movie is a celebration of movies, and not to give anything away, there are silent movie stuntmen in this, and I think the tribute to them is frankly remarkable. So I really like that aspect of the movie, and if you like silent movies, this movie might help you out. It's set in California, I think in the 19 teens. There's a little girl running around with a broken arm, 7 years old, 9 years old, 8 years, something like that. She speaks, she has no front teeth. It said she speaks in gibberish. English is her second language. Yet she's delightful as she walks around this world and has free play in it of this little hospital. She accidentally runs into a guy named Roy who is in a bed. Turns out he's paralyzed. I won't even say why. To give spoilers away is to give away some of the delight of the movie, because the movie is super oblique. It's shot from the point of view mostly of the young female girl, and Spielbergian like, following her at her level and her level of understanding. In fact, there are many plot details, key plot details given away. And when I watch this on like a 6 or 7 speaker surround sound, they're on the sides. The sound is coming out the sides, the important language that tells you about the storyline. That's what I mean by oblique. The movie does not give you easy details and necessary plot information really almost ever. So to me, the delight is finding out what's happening and why, what happened to Roy, what happened to the girl in her background, why did she break her arm, why thoughts of her dad, dreams of her dad show up. It's a psychological tale. It's a tale about friendship as she and Roy begin to tell stories. And the stories are visualized for us. It's like half the movie or more, or the visualization of their wild, wonderfully imaginative, mostly corny stories. You know, if you're going to tell a made-up story to a little girl, as Roy does, it's going to be somewhat corny or goofy as it's told on the spot. In the sets, Tarsem is like a stylist galore, are amazing. The costumes are amazing. Crazy thing about this movie, and this is supposedly, there was no CGI used for the sets. I think there's a little bit of CGI used, but the sets, oh my goodness, they went to 6 continents to film this. Yes, and in fact, there's a montage where they have the Great Wall of China and London and Paris and a bunch of South America, a bunch of other places in like a 1-minute montage. It's like they went to the Great Wall of China for a couple shots that lasted half a second. They really did this. It is incredible. No film will ever do this again because it's crazy. And that helps with the scope of the story to me, which is universal yet personal. The psychological sharing of worlds with the broken arm girl and the paralyzed Roy. Both have sad sack stories to tell. And then you see how they're both envisioning the story. Maybe they're envisioning it all together all the time. Maybe we just get the girl's vision. But we see a movie meditating on what storytelling is for. It's used initially for delight, but we come to find out Roy is using the story to manipulate the girl for very dark and disturbing purposes. The girl does not know she's being manipulated. She sort of learns it later on. If we're paying attention as viewers, we realize, oh, that's what he's trying to do with her. Now, I said it that way. I don't mean it sexually at all. The spoiler is, and this is not a bad spoiler, he's in such pain, especially psychological, mental health pain. He wants to kill himself. So he wants the girl to go get a bunch of morphine for him so he can off himself. And he's telling a story in order to manipulate her into doing so. But the story, the visualized story, evolves over the course of the movie. And it involves the girl's own trauma, their budding friendship, the different problems that have happened to him, and then falls. This movie is titled The Fall, but there's not just one fall. There must be about 50 falls. Okay, maybe 20. You get a fall off a horse and then a bunch of horse imagery. You get the fall of the paper coming down, and that's the paper that helps them meet up. You have the girl falling out of the tree, breaking her arm. You have the fall of man, the Christian doctrine of man. There's a lot of Christian iconography in this movie. Oranges fall, people fall. There's a lot of falls, and the question is, what the heck is going on with that? Now, maybe it's just a motif that doesn't actually, as you assemble it, doesn't mean anything. To me, the falls are about the absolute trauma and hideousness that these two people have gone through. The little girl and the middle-aged guy, and even though they're wildly different problems, they both suffer. And what bonds them and unites them, sounds kind of cheesy, is storytelling. Which, what is storytelling good for? Well, the movie meditates on this, as I said. It's either for manipulation or it's for sharing a bond and growing together, and entertaining as well. And you get like 5 or 6 different ways in this movie that visualized story affects people. The movie, therefore, is not just about entertaining you with Tarsem stylizations, which is certainly one aspect of it. It's actually about also talking about what's the good of telling a story to somebody else. Why are you telling a story? What are you doing with the story? And I haven't mentioned the predecessor films I should. Wizard of Oz comes up here as both the girl and Roy, visualizing their story, take actual people from their world, a la the Wizard of Oz, and put them in the fantasy world. Like Wizard of Oz puts, the witch is actually a real person in Kansas, and so is the Scarecrow and the Lion and so on. Well, there are 5 Avengers in their imaginative story, and they're going after Governor Odious, but all 5 Avengers, or 6 Avengers, and Governor Odious are real people in the real world, and in their own way, they're talking about their problems via these characters they're creating with each other, telling the story. Now, the child actress in this, we have to have a talk about this. Child actors are notorious for being bad. I am charmed by her. The movie does explain away, first of all, her speaking ability, which is not great, as gibberish. I think this performance is natural, and that may be good or bad. I don't know, but I feel like that's the best they could do here, and I find her to be actually pretty charming, and the naturalism of her acting is good. But I hear other people online saying they don't like her at all. Poor girl. And it could use somebody else. I just think it's really hard to find a good child actor. So your mileage will vary depending on how much you like Lee Pace as Roy. I love Lee Pace as an actor, and then this young girl who's the lead actress in this. All that's to say, I think this is an underrated sort of fantasy reality movie in the mid-2000s, that decade. There are a bunch of these. This is one of my favorites, especially if for no other reason than watching this and going, how many places did they shoot this movie? Given that the movie is not that viewer friendly, because it doesn't just hit you over the head with what's happening and what's happening with the characters and plot details. No, it's very oblique. Who's going to film on 6 continents? Hardly anybody. And so you watch the movie thinking they use real sets and real places. Yes. That's one of the wonders of this movie. You may hate everything else about this movie, but that would still leave you in, I think, amazement. That's why I like The Fall. Do you like this movie or not? Let us know in the comments what you think about it. Please subscribe to this channel for more great content. Thank you. Have a great day.